Good evening. It is 7 o'clock, so I will go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Noblesville Common Council. We have a wonderful group of scouts here with us this evening, and they are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone would please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
There are multiple plaques that are here.
All the scouts.
All the scouts. Great. So, Ms. Lees, will you call the roll?
Mr. Ayr.
Present.
Mr. Boyce.
Here.
Mr. Davis.
Present.
Mr. O'Connor. Mr. Peterson.
Here.
Mr. Schwartz.
Present.
Mr. Smith. Mr. Sparks.
Present.
Ms. Wiles.
Present.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Approval of the minutes from the October 25th, 2022 meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from October 25th. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0. Thank you very much. Petitions or comments by citizens who are present. I do not have any sheets. If anyone would like to speak, please fill out one of the comment cards and you can bring it up to the clerk's table. And then you can speak at that time if it's a particular topic that you'd like to speak on. Seeing no one get up, I will move to the council committee reports for the roads committee. Mr. Ayr.
Yes, on November 4th, myself, Mr. O'Connor, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Boyce, who arrived late, along with the sidewalk work that's going to be done along the Plum Prairie, southeast of Pleasant and 10th. 2022 Community Development Block Grant has been completed. Hamilton County projects, 146th Street over Allisonville, which we're going to hear a lot about over the next several months. They're letting the bid in 23, and they're anticipating Allisonville road closure for 3 months. So that's going to be, and I think they're looking at moving this back to 24 as far as when they're going to start the project. State Road 32, 38 roundabouts, 32 and 38, that roundabout is substantially complete. They're still doing some signage work and some interior work in the roundabout. The roundabout at Oakmont, looks like it's going to be a 2023 spring project. They're going to have a public meeting in the beginning of the spring. 37 and 186th Street, that's going to be spring construction also. That's a reduced conflict intersection change. Pleasant Street, we are having a groundbreaking on the 14th. The public is invited, and it'll be on the west side of the river, of the White River, just off of River Road. And I believe it's at 4:00 p.m. on the 14th. So that's going to be exciting to break ground on that. They are doing some tree clearing and debris removal along with some utility relocation at this time. Kerrigan Road over Morris, there's no closure of that roadway. They are doing some work on the pedestrian bridge. Yes. Nickel Plate Trail, the design is ongoing. And they're looking at construction to start in 2023 on that. The levee trail is substantially complete. I believe they have some striping and final seating to finish up on. Anything to add, Mr. Boyce?
Nope, I think that's good.
That's my report.
Okay, any questions of Mr. Air? Seeing none, we will move on to the public safety.
Public safety today met at 1:30. Mr. Davis, Mr. Schwartz, and myself were present. According to the minutes, Brian Air arrived at 1:35. Public minutes, in case anybody would like to read them. So he was there for at least a portion of the meeting. Chief Mitchell introduced Carbon, the fire department's new dog, which we all enjoyed seeing. Carbon gave us a deposit more than we thought we'd get, but it was a great meeting. Then Mr. Connect talked to us quite a bit about Noble Act, which the services are really high right now. We're doing an awful lot through that, and it's really helping out, I think, quite a bit throughout our community. Chief Mitchell talked about the SAFER grant application. We have 15 positions that we have applied for. We should know hopefully by the end of the year on that. So hopefully we can get a grant on that. And we talked an awful lot about both the therapy dogs, both Luna and Carbon. Noble Act is using Luna an awful lot, both internally and externally, and we talked some of the mental health initiatives that we're putting in place right now with the officers, which are really helping in a positive manner. So, did I miss anything, Mr. Air?
No.
From the portion you were at?
Any questions of Mr. Boyce? None? We will move on to Mr. Davis and the Finance Committee. Can't wait to hear this one.
Thank you, Madam President. We met November 3rd. Greg O'Connor, Darren Peterson, Aaron Smith, and myself. Amy Smith discussed bond authorization for the River West project. Steve Stryker had in with us the folks from First Source Bank, and they presented a cash manager review of the city's. They're the city's cash investment advisor. We had a long conversation about what they're doing with us. Ian Zalgowski talked with us on the 2023 adopted budget summary. And it was a good meeting. And the claims docket do come to this council with a favorable recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Davis?
Madam President, I would move to approve the claims.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0. Okay, thank you. Previously discussed ordinances. Council to consider ordinance number 45-07-22, an ordinance annexing approximately 63 acres north of 171st Street, south of the Midland Trace Trail, east of Mill Creek Road, and west of Willowview Road, known as Midland Overlook Plan Development in Noblesville Township. Ms. Shelton.
Good evening. The property that we're talking about annexing is the property that is highlighted on the aerial photograph. As you may recall, this is not a super voluntary annexation, so we've had to do a lot of extra steps to get us to even this point. The property owners, the public hearing for this annexation was held at your September 27th meeting. After that public hearing, we have a window that we have to wait at least 30 days before we can adopt the ordinance, but it has to be less than 60 days. This is roughly about 43 days from the time we had the public hearing. Again, tonight is asking the council to adopt this ordinance. But keep in mind, even with this adoption, there are still several statutory things that we have to adhere to, including sending out certified mail notices again to those property owners.
Any questions of Mrs. Shelton? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Ms. Lee?
I need a
Oh, yes.
I move to approve ordinance 450722.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 45-07-22. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Lee, sorry.
Mr. Air,
Aye.
Mr. Boyce,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mr. Peterson,
Aye.
Mr. Schwartz,
Aye.
Mr. Sparks,
Aye.
Ms. Wiles.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nay, the ordinance is approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll now move on to new ordinances for discussion. Council to consider ordinance number 67-11-22, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Noblesville, Indiana taxable economic development revenue bonds and authorizing and approving other actions in respect thereto.
Move to introduce ordinance 67-11-22.
Second.
Mrs. Smith, good
Good
evening.
evening. This ordinance being introduced to you tonight authorizes the issuance of bonds pursuant to the amended Economic Development Agreement that was approved at the October 11th council meeting for the River West project. As a reminder, this project redevelops the real estate at the northwest corner of 146th and River Road. It will contain for sale townhome units, market rate apartments, age-restricted market rate apartments, and retail space. The developer purchase bonds will be issued in 3 series for an aggregate amount not to exceed $13,870,000. There will be 3 allocation areas, 1 for each of the TIF generating project areas. 90% of the TIF revenue from each of the allocation areas will be pledged to the developer for debt service payment. This item was presented at Finance, like Mr. Davis stated, and did receive a favorable recommendation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Mrs. Smith? Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Council to consider ordinance number 68-11-22, an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance in regards to Article 2, definitions, Article 4, zoning applications and approvals, and Article 8, zoning district related to the flood hazard district.
Motion to introduce ordinance 68-11-22.
Second.
Ms. Ashelman, good evening.
Good evening. I know you all received copies of this ordinance, and I'm sure it put you to sleep the first page. These are amendments. We have a number of floodplain regulations, just have the White River and a bunch of creeks and streams that run through our community. And the state of Indiana has adopted their model floodplain ordinance. And as part of that update, they have asked us to update our own internal ordinances. Most of this is just reorganization of the existing regulations. There is one specific section within here as it relates to protection of building materials and elevating things like your air ducts above the flood protection grade. That is required for a program that we participate in to be written as it specifically is. We participate in the community rating system, which means that based on a grade that we're given over a number of factors, one of them is our ordinances, residents within our community actually receive a discount on their flood insurance premiums. We are currently at a level that they receive a 10% discount on those flood insurance premiums. And we are due for our cycle visit. They come see us every 5 years. She will actually be here next Tuesday to see me. And because of that, we would like to see this ordinance adopted on first reading so that everything's in place for her to give us the best score she possibly can. And I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Any questions of Ms. Ashelman?
Madam President, I would move that we suspend the rules and vote on this on first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules and pass this on first reading. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0.
Madam President, I would move that we approve ordinance 68-11-22.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 68-11-22. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Lees.
Mr. Boyce?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Schwartz?
Aye.
Mr. Sparks?
Aye.
Mr. Ayers?
Aye.
Ms. Wiles?
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nay, the ordinance is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council to consider ordinance number 69-11-22, an ordinance changing the land use category and sub-district category for approximately 9.5 acres in the corporate campus plan development district adjacent to the northwest and southwest intersection of Bowden Road, Brook School Road, and Campus Parkway. I'm also going to read for ordinance 70-11-22. Council to consider ordinance number 70-11-22, an ordinance adopting a preliminary development plan, an ordinance within the corporate campus plan development district for approximately 9.5 acres to be known as the Gateway at Hyde Park, adjacent to the northwest and southwest intersection of Bowden Road, Brook School Road, and Campus Parkway.
Motion to introduce ordinance 691122 and 701122.
Second.
Ms. Shelton, go right ahead.
Good evening. Again, this is a part of the overall Hyde Park project. This basically shows you some of the areas that we have currently already looked at. These two areas here, again, this being Campus Parkway and Bowden and Brook School Road, this would be the project that we are considering this evening, the Berkler project. This project here was the J.C. Hart project, which we saw a few months ago. This project here will be the next item that we will talk about, ordinance 71. And then this project here, also a residential project and partially commercial, we discussed previously also. Again, the applicant is proposing multifamily dwelling units, a maximum of 236 with approximately 30,000 square feet of commercial uses. The maximum density in this area would be 20 units per acre, and that's based on the product type, quality, and the mix of uses. One building in this development will contain a 2-level parking structure that will be hidden behind the building, and the other building will just have typical surface parking. Most of the adjacent rights-of-way are controlled by Hamilton County Highway, and thus requiring the approval of Hamilton County Highway of anything that might be within those right-of-way limits, such as hardscape, landscaping, any signage. So before any permits would be issued for any of those items, we will make sure that Hamilton County, we've received their sign-off. Amenities in this area also include a resort-style pool, a club room, a fitness center, a bike storage, co-workspace, and outdoor gathering areas. Parking requirements for this area have been met, and they have provided parking for visitors. The Architectural Review Board reviewed the elevations. This is a sample of those elevations, and basically gave their approval. A sign package, again, has also been presented. That sign package includes awning signs, projecting signs, and designation signs. This would be an example of their designation sign and another typical designation sign. This right here is the overall preliminary plan that they are proposing to have adopted. Again, this would be Bowden Road, Brook School Road. This is Campus Parkway. The plan, again, has been reviewed and supported by the administration. As per the ordinance, there were waivers and stipulations that were also granted as a part of the Plan Commission's recommendation. The public hearing was held at the Plan Commission. There were no individuals during that public hearing that came forward to speak. Both ordinances were sent forward with a favorable recommendation for adoption by a vote of 8 yeses and 1 no. With that, I will ask if you have any questions of staff. If not, Steve Harden and his group are in the audience.
Any questions of Ms. Shelton? Great, thank you. Mr. Harden, you've come all this way.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the City Council. For the record, my name is Steve Harden. I'm a partner in the law firm of Fagery Drinker. I'm pleased to be here representing MAB Capital, and that's Mr. Steve Ball, who is here, and also the Berkler Investment Group, Tim Hill is here, and also from Wolpert Engineering and Architecture is Brian Smallwood. We were here in front of the City Council last summer in 2021, which was the culmination of probably a 1.5 to 2.5 years of working with the mayor and his team on the vision for Hyde Park. The project agreement was approved back last summer. We then presented the plans to the Plan Commission last fall just to give them a heads up of what was coming. We knew that we had probably 4 projects in the pipeline at that time that would be coming forward in this year. We said at that time that each project then would come back for a site-specific PUD ordinance so that the city, the neighbors, everybody could see exactly, what it was that was being reviewed and approved. And that's what we've done with these projects as we've come back. So as Joyce Ann mentioned, the J.C. Hart project has already been approved through the City Council. The Edward Rose project has. And tonight we have the Berkeley project in front of you. Then later on your agenda is the Empire project. And by the way, we're excited about the Empire project. And that was one that actually the administration referred the Empire team to us, to MAB, and encouraged us to work with them. So we're really excited about all of these projects that are creating the economic driver, the tax increment that's needed to be able to do all the roads and parks and bridges that were planned to do with Hyde Park from the beginning. This specific project then, as Joyce Ann mentioned, in August we went to the Architectural Review Board, received a unanimous favorable recommendation from them. We had a neighbor meeting out on site. There was a lot of trucks and equipment moving dirt around, but we met out there. The only neighbors that attended were from Republic Development. They have a vested interest in the area. They were very excited about the project. They liked it. We probably spent more time just talking about what they were doing and what we were doing. They were very encouraging to us. And as Joyce Ann reported at the Plan Commission, there was no remonstrance from the public. We had a favorable staff report and then a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission. So we're back now in front of you. You've probably seen this project quite a bit over the last year. We were back here in May with an update to the project agreement specifically on this. And hopefully what you've seen here is exactly what we were showing we were planning to do, and if anything, it's gotten even better as we work with the staff through the process. So we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have for us tonight.
Any questions of Mr. Harton?
And if you don't have any questions, like we had asked the last time, the other two, if there aren't anything, we're always happy to be here. We'll come back if you want us to, but if there aren't anything, we would appreciate, approval tonight so we can get moving forward. One of the questions, I know Mr. O'Connor's not here, he always asks, well, what's the timing? When's this going to start going? If you've been out there, you've seen Steve Ball and MAB Capital has been doing a lot of work on that southwest corner of Campus Parkway and Brooks School. And so that's getting ready. The plan is to roll forward with that first phase on the south side, hopefully breaking ground by the summer of next year, but we'll be going through all the construction plan documentation, review, and approval between now and then. So everybody's moving full speed ahead.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
I'm thinking about, so did you ask us to approve this on first reading?
Yeah.
Okay. We've seen this enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we suspend the rules and vote on ordinance 691122 and 701122 on first reading.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded to suspend the rules and pass ordinance number 691122 and 701122 on first reading. This is a hand vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 7-0.
Madam President, I would move to approve ordinance 691122.
Second.
And coincidentally, I would like to move to approve ordinance 701122.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve ordinances 6911-22 as well as 70-11-22.
Madam President,
Mr.
can I
Boyce.
make one little comment real quick?
Sure.
Just for the record, I would say that this is not something that normally, if any of you are wondering, this is a pretty big thing, but we've seen this a lot of times coming forward from Mr. Harden and all of that, so that's why I think everyone up here feels a lot more comfortable doing this. In case anybody's out there going, wow, this is a big complex for them to pass on the first time. It's really not the first time any of us have seen it. We've done a lot of work with it, and all of us are very favorable of the project, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right. This is a roll call vote. Ms. Lees.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Peterson.
Aye.
Mr. Schwartz.
Aye.
Mr. Sparks. Mr. Ayers.
Aye.
Mr. Boyce.
Aye.
Ms. Wiles.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nay. The ordinances are approved.
Thank you very much. Council to consider ordinance number 71-11-22, an ordinance adopting a preliminary development plan, an ordinance within the corporate campus plan development district for approximately 25 acres to be known as the Village at Hyde Park, which is southeast of East 141st Street and Maryland Road.
Motion to introduce ordinance 71-1122.
Second.
Ms. Shelton?
This is the fourth project that we've had in the Hyde Park overall area. Again, it contains approximately 25 acres. And as you stated, it will be known as the Village at Hyde Park. As the underlying land use currently was slated for either single-family or office flex uses, this particular area will not have to have its underlying land use changed. So it's already zoned for single families. These homes will be a maximum density of 6 units per acre. These homes will be leased homes with a management company being responsible for exterior and interior maintenance. It's like having the benefits of having single home without the ownership responsibilities of all the maintenance that comes along with that. Ordinance 71, again, will be the adoption of the preliminary development plan, the ordinance requirements, and the waiver. Just for reference again, in the overall Hyde Park area, this is the particular area that we're referring to, this being 141st Street, this being Maryland Road. They are proposing 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. The 1 bedroom units will be in a duplex style of structure. The 2 and 3 bedroom units will simply be single story ranch type structures. The property, the applicants did present their elevations to the Architectural Review Board. This is a sample of those elevations. Square footage of these homes will range from roughly 665 square feet to 1,313 square feet. This will be a gated community. There are 2 entrances to this property. This being their site plan. Again, at the top we have 141st Street and Maryland Road here. One of the entrances will be to the far east off of 141st Street. The other entrance will be at Maryland Road, roughly midway in their project. Amenities in this area will include a community center, a fitness center, gathering spaces, a community pool and spa, barbecue areas, a dog park, car charging stations, pet grooming area, and valet trash pickup service. Parking requirements have been met as per the Unified Development Ordinance. Again, as I stated, the Architectural Review Board did review and approve the elevations. A sign package was also presented. Really, it's just their designation sign, but again, this is a part of their proposed ordinance. Having this being a gated community, part of it will be metal fencing, meaning it will be an aluminum style fencing. They will also have some fencing that will be the typical board fencing. They will also have pillars that will be constructed of basically stone or masonry type products. Again, this has been a project, as Mr. Hardin said, that was basically sent to Steve Ball to consider as part of this overall Hyde Park area. The public hearing was held at the Plan Commission. There were 3 individuals that came forward to speak at the Plan Commission. We also received 1 item of correspondence. The comments from those individuals related to drainage, headlights that would shine from the vehicles as they're exiting, and then the peripheral buffer yard reduction along the southern property line. There were several stipulations and waivers that were also a part of this ordinance. The Plan Commission's motion did include pine trees that would be planted along that southern property line, because that was the individual that talked about the reduction of the peripheral buffer yard from the standard 50 feet to 25 feet. So that was one of the stipulations. Again, this ordinance was sent forward with a favorable recommendation for adoption with 9 yeses and 0 nos.
Any questions of Ms. Young? Okay. I see Mr. Cernover approaching the podium. Good evening.
Thank you and good evening. For the record, Jim Schinover, an attorney with the law firm of Nelson and Frankenberger with offices in Carmel. We represent the petitioner, ENFR Management LLC, which we usually refer to as Empire Group because it's a little more efficient. With me tonight on behalf of Empire Group is Brian Friel, Director of National Land Development for Empire. Joyce Ann has, with both projects, delineated where this particular site is located within the overall Hyde Park area, so I won't review that again. It is 25 acres. The exhibit that you see before you is the overall site plan. And as a side note, if these images aren't as clear as you would hope on your screens that are before you, I do have hard copies of everything if you need to see that, so just let me know and I can hand those out. With that said, I did want to spend a few moments and just talk a little bit about the vision for this project and the purpose behind the site plan. The village at Hyde Park is a unique four-lease residential community of single-story ranch-type homes with private outdoor patio spaces, which are designed to support the expanding Hyde Park mixed-use development by providing additional residential home offerings to current residents in Noblesville or those residents seeking to find a home in Noblesville. It also assists in promoting the live, work, play concept that is behind Hyde Park. And as we've kind of described, this project is in a way a sister project to the Berkeley project, as both were moving through the process at the same time, and we worked hard to collaborate with each other. We also believe that this type of community would be attractive to young professionals, empty nesters, prospective teachers, firefighters, and police officers who want to establish roots in the community, divorcees, and other residents who are looking for a full maintenance type of gated community to live in. We also believe this community would be attractive to corporate employers and community partners who are seeking a talented workforce, and a workforce that might be seeking different housing alternatives as opposed to single-family for-sale homes or your traditional multi-story garden apartment type homes. With that said, moving over to the site plan, as Joyce Ann described, this will be a gated community. Access will be off 141st Street to the north, which is close to where the leasing office is located. There's a secondary access located off of Maryland Road as well. Also, you'll see on this exhibit, we've added a dark blue line that represents what would be our perimeter path or trail that would be along the Maryland Road segment, as well as our portion up on the northern portion of the site near 141st Street. You also then see hatched blue lines. That represents where future trails would be installed at a future time once development or the road extension of 141st Street commences. So we wanted to show some of that external connectivity. Also, if you look over on the eastern portion of the site in this particular area, that large area is a portion of the open space and common area for Hyde Park. They have planned in that area walkways and paths, and so we wanted to show, based on our connectivity leaving our site, how we can connect into those external trails as well to further promote connectivity not only within our community but within the broader Noblesville community. Some other items of note that Joyce Ann did point out, the clubhouse and pool space and pool amenity area is located central to the site space, so it's easily accessible to our residents, and as well as a small dog park area further south in this particular area. I won't relist all the other amenities, but that's one thing that's very important to Empire Group. Knowing their type of residents, they offer a lot of different amenities to their residents in addition to the full maintenance style community that they're offering. One of the other items that we talked about at the Plan Commission meeting was the design, the internal design of this particular community. It very much promotes connectivity. It promotes residents passing by each other, going into their homes, which we think makes for a better, closer-knit community. It puts people in situations where they get to know their neighbor, and hopefully develop relationships within the community. And so this is just a blow-up example that shows the sidewalk path system to the homes that are located along a particular perimeter. And so again, we think that the design itself is important to foster that idea of community and interaction. Joyce Ann had mentioned the fencing aspects of the development. This is another exhibit utilizing the site plan, and what you'll see is along the eastern perimeter, this dark blue line, that would be the fencing. That would be a 6-foot aluminum picket fence, which would also include 8-foot masonry columns along certain segments within that fence line. It runs all the way along the eastern portion of the property. Then the red line that you see to the south and over to the west and then back over along the north, that is another set of fences that would be 6-foot cedar fences that would be installed also for security purposes. And we then also had provided, and I just want to show them briefly, an exhibit to the Plan Commission that demonstrated the different types of fencing that would be installed around the community. Joyce Ann mentioned the ARB approval process that we went through, just to show some of those streetscapes and elevations briefly. This would be a street perspective of the types of homes that would be built within the community. All of the 2- and 3-bedroom homes would be single-family detached, and the 1-bedroom homes would be set up in a paired or duplex format. Again, these are just straight-on elevations of the homes that would be built within the community that went through the ARB review process. Moving quickly to the amenity area, the clubhouse area. This is a rendering of that clubhouse area that will be very effective for our residents. Again, this was reviewed by the ARB and also reviewed by the Plan Commission. And then finally, a more perspective rendering of that amenity facility, which will include pool, clubhouse, other amenities for our residents. And then finally, these are the renderings of the proposed entryway signage, which would be at each entrance along 141st Street and also along Maryland Road. In conclusion, again, we come to you with a unanimous recommendation from the Plan Commission and ARB approval. We do appreciate all the assistance and guidance staff has provided us through this process. We are not asking you to take any action tonight, but would remain available to answer any questions that you may have of us. And with that said, that concludes my presentation, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any questions of Mr. Schinover? You're good. Thank you very much. Council to consider ordinance 72-11-22, an ordinance amending ordinance number 28-05-15, establishing the municipal riverfront development project area with the city of Noblesville.
Move to introduce ordinance 72-11-22. Sorry.
Mr. Head, good evening.
Good evening, Madam President, members of council. Aaron Head, Community Engagement Manager for the city of Noblesville. In front of you tonight is an amendment to an ordinance that is the Noblesville Riverfront Redevelopment District. And what that does is allow for businesses to obtain alcoholic beverage licenses for below market rate in the range of either $650 or $1,000, depending on if you get a 2-way or 3-way license. So currently the council, since 2015, when this ordinance was adopted, you've approved 20 total licenses that are available to downtown restaurants and other businesses. And as of today, you have 15 of those that are actually active. And what we're looking at today is an expansion of those boundaries to include an area that in the past was just residential homes, and now will be commercial space available. So on your screens, you see the map, and the area we're talking about is right here at Clinton and 10th. And so in red here, this is the area that we're looking at tonight. And the amendment would then simply add in those parcels known as the lofts on 10th to that riverfront redevelopment district area. Happy to answer any questions. Not in a huge hurry to get it approved, so we don't have to do any approval on first reading.
Okay.
Are we adding licenses, or are we
You are not adding any licenses.
just adding parcels?
Correct.
Okay.
Parcels.
Area.
Since we have several available.
Right, exactly.
And it's fairly easy to come back and add additional
It is.
licenses.
It's simple. It's a simple council approval. There's actually, the state of Indiana allows you as a council to determine the number of licenses available in the community. So we can come back at any time and ask for those licenses as new developments occur, which could likely happen in the future, in the next few years. At the moment, we're not in a hurry to add additional licenses since we do have some available.
Madam President, I was just going to comment. You probably recall this was the Riverfront Redevelopment District was approved when I was on the council with us, and I think the council at the time determined they wanted to allot certain numbers at a time. That's why there's the 20 available now. But the goal was to reevaluate that as that went on, as you recall.
Yes. Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Head? Okay. So I think we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other matters that need to come before the council or any council comments? Seeing none, then we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.